Hey everybody, this is my 55-gallon T Bar tank, and right now I've still got the lights in the tank itself turned off. The only lights I have on in the entire fish room at the moment are the overhead light from the basement, and then I've got my little floodlight, couldn't think what that was called there for a moment. The floodlight that lights up the top portion of my waterfall tank is lit. And then, of course, this is all simply being lit by the overhead light in the room. And the reason I'm doing that is because of the heat. It is getting really warm in here, and we're not getting much of a break in the heat outside. We are supposed to get a little bit of a break by the end of the week, but I'm not even getting the opportunity at night to open the windows and put the fan on and pull some of the warm air out of this room. So today I have opted to leave the lights off for a good portion of the day. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon now, so I'm coming in here to get all the lights turned on so everybody has some kind of daytime today. But as you can see, we're still sitting here at 28 degrees in my T Bar tank, which is about 83 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is getting to the upper levels of where oxygen will be depleted from the water. The warmer water gets, the more difficult time it has holding oxygen in it. So, since there's nothing I can do about the weather, the other thing I want to try with this tank is to do a water change, which obviously I can bring the temperature down by doing that. But I think my filter is getting a little clogged up, and being that it's got an electrical pump in there, as that pump has to work harder to push the water through the clogged filter, I'm going to get more heat losses. So I might be adding a little bit of heat to this tank simply because my filter needs to be changed. So that's what we're going to experiment with today. I'm going to get in there and get the filter changed, do a water change. Of course, during the water change, I'll bring the temperature down. I'll go ahead and get the lights turned on. Since we're standing right here, there's a switch underneath that turns on this whole side of the room. So everybody gets turned on at the same time here. All the way around to my brackish tank, and then I've got another switch that lights up the other side of the room, and then my waterfall tank there is on its own sort of separate circuit. So now that everything's lit, I'm going to go ahead and start my water change. Again, I'm going to bring the temperature down probably to about 26 degrees just during the water change. That's what my thermostat on my heater is set at, 26 degrees. So if I bring it down to that temperature, maybe a little lower, I'll get to double check to make sure that's coming on and working properly, and then we can let the tank sit till tonight or even tomorrow and see if that temperature doesn't sort of stay around 26 or 27 degrees. I haven't checked it recently, but the reason I'm saying this is because I have checked these tanks, both tanks on either side, and the temperature has always been a degree or two cooler in these other tanks. Although I gotta say, I did stick my finger in this tank last night, and it seemed to be pretty warm as well. So I might actually turn one of the lights that I have on top here. These are actually pretty warm. They are LEDs, but they do generate a fair amount of heat. And so this tank is probably getting a little bit warmer. Maybe I'll stick my thermometer in there today and find out exactly what's going on. In the meantime, I'm going to get on with my water change on this tank. Not really going to worry so much about a before and after. Not going to do a lot of maintenance. I'll just wipe the glass down and do some, gravel vacuum to remove some of that pleco poop that develops in this tank because of that big old pleco sitting right there. Normally he's in the Anubias just hanging out, and we see his little front lip sticking out of the Anubias, but now we actually get a fairly good look at his whole body right there. So that's a lot of bioload for this tank. And you can see a lot of evidence lying on the bottom there. So anyway, again, not really worried so much about the before and after. More worried about experimenting with that temperature. So let me get on with it, and then I'll probably get back to this tank either later tonight or tomorrow, and we will see what's going on with the temperature. So I will see you then. Alright, and here we are a day later. Hasn't quite been 24 hours, but it's the next morning. I'm getting the lights turned on, and I've been keeping an eye on the temperature in this tank. And ever since I did the water change, I really brought the temperature way down. I actually dropped it to 26 degrees. And here we are nearly 24 hours later, and we are still sitting at 26 degrees. Get a nice little look at my pleco for a moment too. So there you have it. It must have been the filter. And it's odd, when I got in there to clean it out, I got down into the bottom tray, and that's the tray where your primary mechanical filtration takes place. That tray, at least in my canister filters, I designate that tray simply for mechanical filtration only. I have no biological filtration in that at all. And then as we rise up through the trays, each tray does have some mechanical filtration. I do put like a liner in the trays, but mostly it is biological filtration throughout most of the filter. And apparently the last time I did a filter change on this tank was, I don't even remember when, because, oh, look at that, now that we're in here talking, it's just now gone up to 27 degrees. After all this time, I've been watching this thing since yesterday, and we are just now bumping up to 27 degrees as I stand here talking. Well, we'll see. I'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see if it doesn't climb back up to 28. We are supposed to get a break in the heat over the next 3 days or something. I think we've still got left, or maybe 2 days of the heat before it finally starts coming down outside. And maybe if we get a good solid week of lower temperatures, I can bring the overall temperature in the basement down here down. But that's interesting that it also that it came on right before the right after the lights came on. I can't imagine that light being on for the, I don't know, I had it on for literally a minute before I started videoing. I haven't even turned the lights on the other side of the room on yet. And so I really can't imagine those lights suddenly putting that extra tiny little bit of heat in there that bumped it up to the 27 degrees. I also cannot remember what I was talking about prior to seeing the temperature go up. My filter. So I don't even remember the last time I was doing a filter change, because I use the batting material for my filter material. I don't use the polyfill. I know polyfill is the brand name, but polyfill is just sort of like, it's like cotton wool made out of polyester. You use it to stuff pillows and stuff, quilts and things like that. So, well, I guess the batting would be used more for the quilting. Anyway, I don't use it because I don't like it. The sheets, the batting, you know, the stuff that comes in a roll in sheets, is very easy to deal with. You can just pick it up and you know, it comes out all in one big sort of folded up sheet when I clean out the filter. When you use the batting, when you use the fill, you can stuff it in there, but when you try to pull it out, you're just pulling out handfuls and clumps. It's all, you know, it's not one piece. It doesn't stay attached to anything, so it's a lot more of a pain in the butt to deal with and clean out when you're doing filter changes, and that's why I use the batting and not simply the fill. And yet, when I got in there to clean out the filter, I got down to that bottom tray, and it was indeed really, really gunky and dirty and nasty. And it was polyfill, not the batting. So I do have a bag of the polyfill. I bought it once, tried using it, hated it, and that's why I still have a bag of it sitting there. So I must have been in the middle of a filter change, run out of the batting, and I must have used that fill in this filter last time I did it, and I have no recollection of doing that at all. So that's how long it's been since I've done a filter change on this tank. I do fairly frequent water changes, but I always put the filter off until the next time, until the next time, until the next time, and it's literally been so long now, I don't even remember doing a filter change. So I'm going to say that that filter was definitely contributing to the temperature in the tank. I was prepared to say that that's what was causing all of the heat in the tank, but here we are. As I said, you know, as I'm speaking, we just bumped up to 27 degrees, but it's taken you know, more than 18 hours, 19 hours, something like that, in order for it to come up 1 degree from after I did the water change. So I don't necessarily think that is the filter doing that. I think it's probably just the room temperature is getting warm, because I checked some of the other tanks, and this tank here is sitting just under 27 degrees. It's about 26 and a half-ish, according to my other thermometer, the best that I could read it. It's a standard glass thermometer with the red liquid inside, but it's accurate, and I use that when I really want to try to find out specifically what temperature something is. So anyway, there you go. That's a little look at what's going on, I do think that that filter being clogged up was contributing to the warmer temperatures in this tank. And I'm also going to say, finally, that as much as I'd like to take credit for coming up with that idea, that was, of course, one of my viewers pointed out to me that that could be a cause of the additional heat in there. So, as usual, I've learned, once again, a little new something to tuck into my tool belt, thanks to my viewers. So, keep up the comments, keep up the good suggestions. I always appreciate them. Make sure you're subscribed. That way you won't miss anything else I got coming up. You never know what it's going to be. Don't forget, of course, this one here is my 55-gallon T Bar tank. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one.